The news, it really hit like a gut punch. A prominent Pakistani actress, a model, found deceased in her apartment. And just surrounded by this immediate chilling mystery.
It's a story that's just shocking.
Yeah.
And it exposes so much, doesn't it? Not just, the potential dark side of fame, but this profound isolation that people can face, even when they're like right there in the public eye.
Exactly. So today we're doing a deep dive into the tragic death of Humaira Asghar Ali. We want to go beyond those initial headlines, We've pulled together news reports, forensic details, even social media stuff to try and piece together a fuller picture. And honestly, it gets, pretty unsettling.
Yeah. Our mission today really is to unpack the facts as we know them, look at these weird discrepancies in the timeline.
Right. The timeline is key.
And sort of grapple with the big societal questions this whole thing brings up. Isolation, community, what the sources actually tell us about what happened, and maybe why it resonates so deeply.
Okay, so let's start at the beginning. The discovery itself, it's just chilling. How was she actually found?
Well, her body was found in her apartment in Karachi. Defense Housing Authority, DHA. It was a Tuesday. And the only reason anyone went there, a court bailiff.
A bailiff? Why?
The landlord had filed a complaint. Apparently, rent hadn't been paid since early 2024, so the bailiff was there to vacate the property. They actually had to break the door down to get in.
Wow. Okay. And what did they find inside? I mean, the state of the body.
Yeah, that immediately told a grim story. Highly decomposed. The initial estimates were kind of all over the place. Some reports said at least 2 weeks dead. Others said nearly 20 days. The police surgeon, Dr. Humaira Syed, her first guess was maybe around a month.
A month. Even that's a long time.
Very long time. And obviously, this news just sent shockwaves, right? Through the entertainment industry in Pakistan, fans, other celebrities, just waves of grief. But that timeline, that was just the start of the confusion.
Right, because as you hinted, that timeline takes a really shocking turn when you look closer. Those first reports, weeks, maybe a month. But the digital evidence, the forensics, they point to her dying potentially 9 months earlier, October 2024.
9 months. It's almost unbelievable.
How? I mean, how could there be such a huge gap? What did investigators find that pointed so strongly to that much earlier date?
Well, that's the really compelling part, isn't it?
Yeah.
They pieced it together, looking at her digital life, or, the lack of it. Phone records showed her last call was made way back in October 2024.
October.
Yeah. And her social media. Last Facebook post was September 11th, 2024. Last Instagram, September 30th. Then in nothing.
Oh.
Months of just digital silence that, seems nobody really questioned.
That silence is deafening now, isn't it? It just shows how easily someone, even someone with a public profile, can just vanish online and no alarms go off.
Exactly. And it wasn't just digital stuff. There was physical evidence in the apartment backing up that October 2024 timeline.
Like what?
Well, it looks like her electricity was cut off around then.
Yeah.
Possibly, because bills weren't being paid. They found food items in the kitchen that had expired 6 months ago. Rusted containers, the water pipes, dry, rusted, no candles, no backup power source found.
So just everything stopped.
Pretty much. Even neighbors, when asked, said they hadn't seen her since September or October 2024.
And the apartment itself might have played a role in the delay?
Possibly. There was only one other apartment on her floor, and it was vacant. That could have delayed anyone noticing an odor. Apparently, the smell can decrease after 10 to 15 days. And crucially, the balcony door was left open.
It just paints such a stark picture, a life just halting. So who was Humaira Asghar Ali before this tragedy?
Well, she was originally from Lahore. There's a little disagreement in the sources about her age, maybe 32, maybe 35. She started modeling back in 2013.
Right.
And then moved into television around 2015. She had proper training, too. Visual and Performing Arts at the National College of Arts and the College of Art and Design. So she had the background.
Sounds like she was really making a name for herself. I mean, winning Veet Miss Supermodel in 2014, that's significant.
Definitely. And she got a big boost in popularity after being on that reality show, Tamashgar, in 2022.
And acting roles too, right? Films, TV, dramas.
Yeah, she was in Jalebi back in 2015, Love Vaccine in 2021, and a bunch of TV dramas. Just Married, Essen Faramash, Guru, Chal Dil Mehr, Lali. She was recognized too. Got a Best Emerging Talent Award in 2023.
So a really diverse career, actor, model.
And more. Her Instagram bio apparently listed her as a theater artist, painter, sculptor, even a fitness lover. Very multifaceted person, it seems. She had, what, over 700,000 followers on Instagram?
700,000 followers. That's a huge online presence, which makes the isolation revealed by her death even more jarring.
It really does. This vibrant public persona, and then this incredibly private, unseen end.
So given this public life, what did the investigation actually find about the cause of death? Or is it still unclear?
It's still largely unclear, unfortunately. The initial post-mortem couldn't determine the exact cause because the body was so decomposed.
Yeah.
That makes sense given the 9-month time frame. They've sent samples off to labs, for chemical and DNA analysis, looking for drugs, toxins, that kind of thing.
Yeah.
Some organs were preserved for more detailed forensic work.
And any signs of foul play? Forced entry?
Police said no, not immediately. No signs of forced entry. All the doors were locked from the inside. So right now, it doesn't look like a murder investigation per se, but they're keeping all options open. The investigation is definitely still active.
Okay. And then we get to what might be the most heartbreaking part of this whole story. The family's reaction or lack thereof.
Yeah. The reports state that her family, including her father, who's apparently a retired Army doctor, they refused to claim her body.
Refused. That's incredibly difficult to comprehend. Do the sources give any reason why? Any context for that?
They suggest the relationship was bitter, that contact had been severed a long time ago. Apparently, the father cut ties about 2 years before her death.
2 years.
And he refused to come to Karachi. So it points to this deep, long-standing estrangement.
Which just reinforces the isolation, doesn't it? Living alone in that flat since 2018, very limited contact. It all fits together in this tragic way, explaining the delay.
Absolutely. And this individual tragedy, it didn't just stay personal. It really blew up into a much wider conversation, especially within the entertainment industry.
Right. The celebrity reactions were really telling, weren't they? They went way beyond just offering condolences, it felt like a commentary.
Definitely. Hina Altef, her words were so powerful. She said, "This isn't just a loss. It is a wake-up call."
A wake-up call, yeah.
And she added, "She lived alone. She passed away alone. And days went by without anyone even noticing. Check in on your friends and also people who never asked." That hits hard.
It really does. It's a direct challenge to all of us, isn't it? Are we actually checking in, especially on those who seem fine or those who live alone?
Amir Khan went even further, saying it was the death of a society and an industry. Pretty strong words.
Wow. And Faisal Qureshi made a specific plea, didn't he? Asking people to check on those living alone.
Yeah, he did. And Zohaib Hassan raised another important point, that this isn't the first time this has happened in Karachi. Single women being found dead in their apartments alone.
Right. He mentioned that veteran actress Aisha Khan was found in similar circumstances just last month.
Exactly. So it points to this deeply unsettling pattern. Not just an isolated tragedy, but maybe something systemic.
There was also that broader commentary from Manjusha Radhakrishnan, the entertainment editor. Her take was really insightful, I thought.
Yeah, she described Humaira's story as this tragic and all too familiar script for women in the entertainment industry. Beautiful, talented, and slowly forgotten.
Slowly forgotten. Oof.
And she said no one came looking, no friend, no fan, no family member knocked on her door until it was too late. She basically argued Humaira's story was about fame, yes, but also financial distress, isolation, the pressure of always being visible. Yeah. And maybe being part of a system that, chews up young women and forgets to care for them. Mm-hmm. It's a really critical look at the industry itself.
Yeah. And it connects back to that earlier incident too, right? The controversy.
Yeah, the 2022 thing where she was mistakenly linked to a forest fire. The backlash was apparently swift and brutal. Radhakrishnan called it a case study in how fragile a woman's reputation can be when left unprotected in the digital age.
So adding another layer of pressure, another potential source of isolation or difficulty.
It seems likely. It all contributes to this picture of someone potentially facing immense pressure, maybe financial struggles, estrangement, and doing it all largely alone.
Which brings us back to that quote, that question for you, the listener. We often reserve our empathy for stars only after they fall. Maybe it's time to change that.
Yeah. Maybe it's time we checked in more, judged less, and remembered that the people who entertain us are not invincible. Powerful thought.
And that final line from the sources, Humaira deserved more than a lonely goodbye. It just hangs there, doesn't it?
It really does. So this deep dive, it's painted a really complex picture. You have the shock of the discovery, the mystery around the timeline, these 9 missing months.
Right.
But also these huge questions about society, about support, about the hidden struggles people face, even famous people.
So wrapping this up, what's the takeaway here? What does Humaira Asghar Ali's story really reveal? Not just about showbiz, maybe, but about all of us. Our responsibility to connect, to notice, especially now when it feels like people can be more isolated than ever.
It's a heavy question. Maybe the final thought for you listening is just that. In a world that feels increasingly disconnected, what can we actually do, big or small, to make sure no one, famous or not, ends up facing such a profoundly lonely goodbye?